a podcast hosted by Joe Dietrich, Joe on the mic, Leader Talk. All right, guys, we are back on our next episode, and I'm so glad to have Jocelyn Toll on. And she's going to be bringing us some aspects about being a boss, a real boss, not just like I think I'm a boss, but she's going to give us some tools and tips about what it means to actually be a boss of your life. I mean, not just business, but boss of your life. So let me introduce her real quick. Jocelyn is a bicultural. See, I told you I was going to mess it up. A bicultural Latina on a mission to empower professionals to integrate health as a lifestyle and not just a meal plan in and of itself. After overcoming stress imbalances while working at a Silicon Valley startup and applying her integrative nutritional health coaching education, she became a health lifestyle coach. That's what I'm talking about, to help others to overcome the frustration and fatigue from unhealthy relationships, toxic work environments, and lack of purpose. Her approach emphasizes redefining relationships with food, building mindful eating practices, cultivating a growth mindset to enjoy harmony and balance in their mind and body. Welcome, Jocelyn. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Joe, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, and we were just chatting about being a boss and stuff like that. And I'm going to title this episode, and everybody's going to see it. It's going to be "Avoid the Burnout, Become a Boss."
Ooh, love
And
it.
yeah. So, man, so how did you get on this journey of health and wellness? And you're from Costa Rica, so that's in the story in of itself. But tell us a little bit about something about yourself before we get started, and we'll get into how to be a boss.
Yeah, happy to share. So, to share part of me of that I'm very proud of is, yes, I am a Latina, born in Costa Rica. We moved to the States when I was 12, and I grew up in a very culturally diverse household where my mom is from Peru, my dad's from the States, and I was, again, born in Costa Rica. So it's like I'm a representation, I'd like to say, of the Americas, where I grew up in Central America, but have heritage of South America. And of course, I've lived now in the United States and North America for a long time.
Super awesome.
Yes, and I think inevitably, honestly, my upbringing, balancing different cultures and navigating those waters, like in the home, and also out when I was at school or with friends, inevitably made me someone who loved to question why things are the way they are. Where if someone were telling me, "Well, Justin, that's just how it's done," it's like, but why? Because I already had two cultures that I navigated and saw how lifestyles were different, ways of communication were different, food, of course, is different. And so that, I think, from the get-go, just because of my upbringing, I always had this knack for questioning why things are the way they are, and always wanted to understand and keep that open mind to say, hey, there's more here than meets the eye, and keeping that, again, curiosity mindset.
Yeah.
At all times.
No, so I get it, because when I was in the military, one of the drill sergeants and the instructors would always tell us, if you don't know something, you better ask somebody.
Mhm.
And that one of the biggest things as leaders, well, we should all know, is that questions are important,
Mhm.
and not to be afraid to ask questions. And sometimes, I know in a Latino culture, sometimes when you ask questions, you'd be like, hey, why why do you keep
Yes.
asking questions?
Yeah.
And they might get upset, like, what are you trying to do? Like trying to usurp me. But from what I can tell from you have a genuine wanting to know about what it is that you're trying to figure out, because you want to learn, you want to grow. And I definitely encourage that as leaders. But I'm sorry,
Yes.
go ahead.
No, that's fine. And actually, Joe, I wanted to add to that is definitely, I think, with upbringing, whether I was actually raised Catholic, and I think, right, when you question, it can be seen as a way of going in contrary or in conflict with questioning, right, your say authority, or the leader, the person in charge. And I've had to, I'd say, be careful sometimes to make sure that I'm not communicating in that way, and instead trying to just come from a different perspective and say, okay, from a place of understanding, right?
Mm.
And coming together in connection. And so I did want to add that, because I'd say that also influenced a lot with regards to how I am and where I am today as an entrepreneur, someone who is building my own business as a wellness coach, health lifestyle coach, where that led me to start questioning, I'll say, my health and what it means to be healthy, what it
Mm.
means to be actually well. And to share a bit about my story is, so growing up, I was very fortunate. My family was always very conscious about eating well and eating very balanced. So that was good. And then we were also very active. And I think living in a place like Costa Rica, where it's just beautiful year round, you can be outdoors all the time.
Jealous?
Yeah, so it just, active lifestyle, and with good eating habits, that was already part of my living. So I was very fortunate that I was raised in that environment. And then what's interesting, so I would say I never really questioned it, because it was just
Mm.
part of my routine, part of my life, part of my lifestyle. So it was easy. But I got to a point, so this is now as an adult after college. I was at a point in my life where I felt like I was doing all the right things. I was eating well, again, staying active. Nothing really had changed in that regard. And yet I was noticing that I didn't feel well, in the sense of like overall state of well-being, which is, I just noticed that I wasn't as motivated. I was just getting frustrated very easily. I I just felt like I wasn't really being myself, in the sense of I would snap more at people, more irritated, more irritable. And another very interesting thing that I realized in hindsight was that my posture was very poor. Like it was very curved,
Mm.
even though, again, I would say my physical activity hadn't changed or my diet or anything, but my posture, I just felt like I couldn't stand up straight for whatever
Oh,
reason.
wow.
Yeah, it was very odd. And again, at the time, I didn't realize what was going on. But at this time, it was several things. But what I realized is, at this time, I was working at a Silicon Valley startup, very high pressure, fast paced work environment. But not only that, at this time, I'd also been in a long term relationship. And I realized that it was that there was things beyond, again, my diet and exercise that were influencing my health and my well-being. And it was a combination of the work environment that I was in that was not what I was accustomed to in terms of the level of pressure and pace. But even more so than that was this relationship that was very unhealthy, and it was impacting just my motivation to even really push myself at work and do things that I really enjoyed. And it was making me doubt myself, and which was very, in a way, confusing, because I always felt very sure about myself and my habits and my routine. And yet there was this part of my life, this relationship, that was really kind of clouding everything else. And it got to a point where after months I realized, I think I'll take a pause here and say that, I don't know, call it divine, intervention or whatnot. But it's so interesting, because at this time too, when there were just things were not going well, I wasn't feeling good, is I also came across this book
Mm.
called Idiot's Guide for Ayurveda. And I don't know, Joe, do you know what Ayurveda is, or should
No,
I
no, no.
explain?
Yeah, yeah, you might want to
Okay.
explain it.
So Ayurveda is the world's oldest health system, based in from stemming from India.
Mm.
And it's a practice that does combine a sister science like yoga and all these other practices that combine mind body health. So,
Mm.
yoga we think of as a separate thing, but it's all part of actually Ayurveda, and which is a much bigger, again,
Oh, wow.
health medicine practice. And so I came across this book that to me just made so much sense. And what I mean by that is just I felt like you didn't, it doesn't matter your education level, your background, whatever. It just felt like I grabbed this book and how it talked about your overall well-being, mind, body, soul, all that, how it talked about it, it just made sense. And like anyone could understand it.
Hmm.
And so that I think inevitably, like in my subconscious, was kind of influencing and helping me connect the dots as to what was impacting my health and my well-being. Because again, I felt like I was doing all the right things with my food and my diet, but with this book, it also helped kind of awaken and enlightening, give that little, I'd say, nudge to say, well, what about your mind? What about your emotions? What about you as a person, your soul? And
Hmm.
that I think inevitably helped me subconsciously kind of realize, oh, it's not just about what I eat and how I work out. It's about your work, relationships, and all these other factors. And so the day, and I got to a point where I said, I can't be in this relationship anymore, and I ended it. And honestly, Joe, what is remarkable is that in a very, I'll say, obvious or tangible way, not just mentally how I felt, my vision kind of clear up, but
Wow.
also my posture literally in the succeeding like weeks started to just straighten more. And it
Oh,
was
wow.
interesting because to me that was an indication of, the weight of this emotion that I was feeling that was like dragging me down and like really just weighing on me was like a physical manifestation in my posture. And and then and now I felt like I could literally stand up a little better and straighter. And it wasn't like right away, but it was, as the weeks progressed and everything, I just felt like, wow, I feel like my chest is open, like I can actually stand up straight. And so that is, I'd say, my story to like my wake up call as to literally mind body connection and such a physical manifestation of it. And for me, then how I've taken that to say is that for all of us, for me, it was, and I notice it when I get very stressed or I'm overwhelmed, or there's an emotion that's really weighing on me,
Mhm.
something that's really worrying me, it does,
Yeah.
it impacts my posture. I've noticed. And so
Yeah.
that's my body response. But for others, it could be a gut thing where they get indigestion, right? And they're starting to deal with that recently, but they're not sure why. And so there is, our body sends us signals, and sometimes we don't know what it is, but there's the dots out there that once we are listening and we start connecting the dots, we can really understand all of it, right? All the mind body connection and how it
Mhm.
all relates.
Yeah. I mean, that is so true, because a lot of times people, like you said, we focus on one aspect of our life and we think that we should be living more productively because we got one aspect in check. We think everything's straight. But then we're like, well, why aren't I flourishing overall? Why do I feel down? Why do I feel lack of energy? Why do I feel lack of focus? Well, it's because in life, there's, like you said, there's a balance. So there's a spirit, body, and mind. All these things have to coincide. I mean, we were created that way.
Yes.
God divinely created us with a body we inhabit, right? We have our mind, we have our spirit. That's why we, that, like in like the Catholic faith or in Christianity, there's the Holy Trinity. Well, the Holy Trinity is your mind, body, and spirit as well, that God has given us. And if we're out of balance in one of those areas, we're going to feel off.
Mhm.
And like you said, the stressors of that imbalance can be, like you said, digestive problems,
Mhm.
and some people it might be skin conditions,
Yes.
and other people it just might be, like you said, you can feel like you're hunched over,
Mhm.
uh, back pains, lower, whatever the case would be. But your body, and I forgot what it's called. It's like a bio something feedback or something. I can't remember the terminology, but your body gives you signals. And
Mhm.
sometimes, like with my wife, she went through a whole phase. So it was like almost 10 years, 10 plus years She experienced depression, all kinds of other things like that. Well, it was because her body was reacting to some of the things that she was taking in. And
Mm.
so, and she didn't know. So she had to go seek a doctor. We found a Christian doctor that dealt with holistic approach to medicine, and he helped her out. So now she's off the pain pills. She doesn't have depression. She doesn't have anxiety. She doesn't have Crohn's disease, like all these doctors were saying. It was just a symptom of something else causing those things to react. Her body was reacting to it. So no, it makes a whole lot of sense. So, but I would love for you to tell our folks more about your BOSS acronym and how to be a
Okay.
boss and how you transformed to now you're living a more full life. Now that you've made this discovery that it's
Mhm.
not just about the food, it's about all the other things.
Yes, yeah, I'd be happy to share. So I'll tell you a little backstory to how this came about. So this was many years ago now, 3 years or so, where I was the job that I was working at, I was very much customer facing, and I was the first person people would see when they'd walk into the office space. And it's funny because one of the members, community members came in, and he's like, "Are you the boss here?" And I just decided to go with it. I said, "Yes, I am." And I wasn't. I was like, "Yes, I am." And then, okay, that started a whole conversation. But I don't know, Joe, like it made me think about, okay, what is a boss? Right? Like what made someone say that? And I don't know, it just sparked this idea, right? When I was talking about curiosity and questioning, I was like, okay, like what makes someone say, yeah, you're a boss, like killing it, crushing it. So
Yeah.
I started to think about what does it mean to be a boss? And so when in this new understanding of, mind, body, soul, all of that that's connected, and saying your health is all of that, right? And
Mhm.
of course, I think there's so much progress that's being made with regards to mental health and more awareness to that, which I think is fantastic. But I think there's also a lot of things like within our control that we don't realize regarding mindset. But so I was thinking about this concept of a boss and what who embodies that or captures that essence of a boss. I thought of this one day and I realized, you know what? A boss is someone who is brave, someone who's optimistic, someone who is self-confident, and someone who is self-aware. And so to me, that became an acronym instead, like B.O.S.S now became an acronym to a mindset for someone who feels like, again, that embodies all these things. They're brave, they're being courageous, going after things that scare them, but they do it anyways. There's someone who sees things, has an outlook of life where, hey, even if you don't know the outcome, you trust that things are going to work out in your favor, right? Then the self-awareness is that you have enough, again, you've worked on yourself, you know yourself well enough, you trust your skills, your abilities, your intuition to make decisions that are good, not only for you, but for those around you. And then the confidence to say, self-confidence of, yes, I, again, also trust my skills, my abilities, my intuition to make the best decisions, and building that and saying, hey, even again, when I don't fully know the outcome to something, I'm going to trust what I know and go for it and give it my all. And so they all feed into each other. And especially, I'd say, with self-confidence, which I'm sure, perhaps sure you've talked about this already, but confidence is a skill.
Mm.
And I think that's the beauty of it, is that confidence, what that means, because it's a skill, it means that it's something that you can work towards and work at and get better at, right? It's not something that just some people are born with. It's something that you can work towards. And how that ties with health and wellness is that, right? I believe that by taking care of yourself, by taking better care of yourself, when you feel very good and know how to take care of yourself well, right? And make health a lifestyle,
Mm.
that builds that confidence. Because when you know how to take care of yourself, that builds your momentum, your energy, your motivation to do and tackle the other scary things that require you to be brave, right? And take those leaps. So that's my definition of a boss, and how I believe, again, a true boss, again, is someone who does know, who prioritizes their health, their well-being, makes it a lifestyle, because that reinforces this ability to say, take courageous action, right? Be brave, be optimistic, be self-aware, and be confident.
Man, guys, I hope you guys got that. Being brave, that's the number one thing, and self-confident. And I think a lot of times people need help in that. And that's another reason why I'm glad I'm having you on, because you're a coach.
Mhm.
And sometimes we need someone to be a coach in our side to help us build that self-confidence. I mean, I'm a coach, I'm a leadership coach, but guess what? I've had coaches.
Yeah.
You know what? Because there are times when a leader, and I'm pretty sure you agree with this, a leader needs someone to coach them along.
Definitely. Yes.
Because I mean, one of the best leaders that I know have coaches.
Mhm.
And for them to coach well, they need mentors, they need guidance, they need direction to be that self-aware person that is needed to say, hey, look, I know I have a weakness in this area. And I'm gonna bring it to my coach, and my coach is gonna tell me, hey, look, hey, I get you, I understand. These are some of the steps you need to take, and I'll hold you accountable so you can grow in that area. And I love, one of the things I love that you sent me, and you sent this to me, you said, transformative leadership requires unwavering commitment to personal development and self-care.
Mhm.
That is a tremendous statement. And it's true. It is true. If you want to be transformative in your lifestyle, you got to, this statement that Jocelyn gave me is so important. You have to be unwavering in your commitment for personal development and self-care.
Mhm.
Now, can you speak to that self-care? Because I can hear somebody out there saying, well, self-care, that's kind of selfish, you got to be the whatever. Can you speak to that person that said that's kind of like hesitant about going into self-care, and why is it so important?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So first, I think we need to be very conscious of what is self-care versus like what is a routine. And self-care practices can become routine. I'll say that. But self-care is, what I like to say, is a mindful activity. So one that you're very conscious about, that you have put intention behind to help take better care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in one of these many ways. And so let me give an example to make it more easier to like capture. So a self-care practice. So someone could say to me, or like for myself, the other day I woke up and I realized I was just feeling a bit anxious for some reason. I woke up a bit anxious, and I said to myself, well, something that helps me alleviate anxiety, and I've, learned this through a lot of process, trial and error, is, okay, meditation. But specifically, actually, a walking meditation. I said, I know I want to, my body's feeling stiff and I'm feeling anxious. So this is going to take care of two things. I can't do like a HIIT workout right now, because that's not going to offer, like, alleviate the anxiety. I'm just going to be so focused on crushing it.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm thinking, you know what, because that was my originally, I was going to do a HIIT workout. And then I woke up and I'm like, you know what I most need actually is, my mind right now is not in a space that I want it to be. And this is going to influence the rest of my day. But I still want to get a little bit of movement because my body is just a little stiff. So I instead I have an app, and, searched for a walking meditation and did that instead. And when I came back from my walk, when my walking meditation, I said, I felt like a new person. I was not feeling anxious. My body, like my muscles felt relaxed, and And so I said, okay, great, this took care of it. Versus, so that is a mindful wellness practice. Versus if I had just told myself, stuck to my routine, which my plan was, I'm just going to do my HIIT workout and, pump some iron, right, and crush it. That would not have had the same results as, again, this walking meditation where I was conscious of what I was doing, my intention. What is my intention behind this? Where if I know that this HIIT workout is not going to serve the intention that I'm looking for, then why would I do that? Right. So it becomes actually a mindless kind of activity because you're just doing it for the sake of doing it because there's a schedule there. And of course, that's not to say we don't need routine. We definitely do. But what I like to say is how beautiful when you can get to like a scheduled routine that allows for, I'll say, flexibility. So like in my case, it's this of, I know that every morning I need to do something for myself, such as like an exercise, meditation, a walk. So I have all these, I'll say, like go-to activities, I'll say, or mindful practices. And then I kind of just pick the one that I know is going to serve my intention and that I'm looking for and what I need. And of course, at times I just stick to, I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep my running. I'm going to do my run today, just as I planned. And tomorrow I will do great. But I think it's important for us to reflect back on saying, when is this something for self-care? And when is this something for just, again, for the sake of doing it because, all right, that's what I planned and that's what I said I would do. And that, I think, is the important bit where someone who is self-aware can, or has a certain level of self-awareness, which takes time, of course, but with practices like these, and when you ask yourself and you put that, the why behind, right, the intention, and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Then you can really kind of shift sort of your perspective, and also, again, shift what is the actual habit or practice that is really going to most benefit you.
Wow. Wow. Guys, this is gold. This is gold right here. I'm serious because for us as leaders, whether you're in a business, in your personal life, because like you said, heard me say many times before, if you don't think you're a leader, you are, because you have to lead yourself when you go to work, right? If you have a job, you have to say, okay, I have to get up at such and such time in the morning to make sure I get to my workplace so I don't get fired. So, there's a leadership aspect. If you're a parent, you're definitely a leader because you're leading your children. If you're in a leadership position at a job, yeah, you're a leader at that job in a position, but guess what? You're also influencing people by how you behave, how you act, how you take care of yourself, how you take care of others. So there's leadership aspects in that arena. And I love the way, because we can go through routine, but we can make a mindful decision. Be mindful about our decision-making processes to say, okay, I'm gonna go into this meeting. I'm just saying a meeting, like any workplace. I'm gonna go into the meeting with an attitude, or I know that this is gonna be an intense meeting. We're gonna talk about certain things that might get on people's nerves or whatever, or it might bring up a situation in a workplace that we really don't feel sensitive about. But I'm gonna go into that meeting with a mindset, being mindful of the sensitivity of the nature of the whatever topics being discussed, to bring an inclusive environment. So that is the difference between being in a routine mindset. We're going into this meeting, whatever, and you go out without any intent to change the atmosphere, or you're mindful about the situation. And that's the difference between leadership and just being a person just doing whatever and not being in leadership mindset. And being a change maker, a boss, versus being just another individual there in the room. So I appreciate that distinction that you're giving to us, because this is also about wellness. Everything revolves around leadership and being mindful, because Either you can go and say, look, I want to change my diet, right? I want to be healthier. So am I going to go down to McDonald's for lunch? Or am I going to go to that healthier place that I know about, that everybody's talked about, and say, I'm going to do that 1% change in my life
Mhm.
and be mindful, say, you know what, the doctor said this. I want to be healthier for my kids. I'm going to listen to Jocelyn when she's telling me this is a lifestyle and not just a routine.
Mhm.
I'm going to make a mindful decision to say, I'm going to go to that healthier place and eat something for lunch. And guess what? At the end of the day, you're going to be feeling better,
Mhm.
right? You're going to have more clarity. That the brain fog is going to be gone because you made a mindful decision about eating junk food, which is really, now that we know, there's a lot of, we know more about McDonald's and stuff, that food is
Oh yeah.
really junk food. Maybe back in the day, there was real stuff in the food, but now we don't know what's in it. But it's a big difference.
Yeah.
So Jocelyn is bringing to us. No, no, go ahead, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
oh, John, can I add something that, I think it's what's so important about mindfulness is that it 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 eliminates, I'll say, like pressure. So what I mean by that is that, for example, yes, there's a day, because it all happens, right? Where you're like, oh, I could choose to go to this restaurant which everyone has been talking about that has some pretty, looks like much healthier options than like McDonald's, for example. And you're like, oh, I could try the healthy example, or I could go to McDonald's. So now, if you have that awareness of saying like, I could choose this or that, right? But I want to add to this piece of like, and what if you do choose like, but you know what? Hey, I've been eating very well this whole week. You know what? And I kind of do just want a burger and it'll be okay. You're right. Like, and I think it's saying like, it's all right. Like, okay, McDonald's is one thing, but or just if you're like, you know what, I just wanted to order in because, I feel like I have been doing very well in terms of my eating habits. And okay, whoops, today I decided to snack on chips instead of an apple. My bad. But I think it's saying like, but being conscious of that, just saying like you are in control of your actions instead of thinking that you're out of control. No, you are in control. And so I think that's the bit where again, like the self-awareness ties in with again the self-care and right. I think when we're talking about being 1% better is exactly that. It's like worry less about being 100%
Mm,
and focus more on being 1% better.
mm,
Because so many times we put so much pressure on ourselves to be 100%, to say that it is black or white. I 100% only had, I'll say, a vegetarian diet this whole week and that's it. But if I had one day that I slipped up, it's all ruined. I failed. No. Think about then when you first started. Man, I'm actually eating way more vegetables than when I first started. Awesome. That is progress. That's what matters. And so, but now you're more aware of it. So that if one day you're like, honestly, I'm just really craving some meat and I just really want a burger, because that's happened to me. I was a vegetarian for 8 years and I was like, yeah, I want a burger. Is that going to mean that I'm no longer a vegetarian, not committed to XYZ? No, that's okay. So I think it's also the mindfulness piece brings it again, it ties to intention. What is your intention? If you're saying like, yeah, I want to take better care of myself and today eating a burger is going to make me very happy instead of making me feel miserable and like, I have to eat this and this is what because this is what I said and what I well, what's the beauty in that? How is that healthy? Like putting all this pressure on yourself and beating yourself up about it. That's not healthy. Healthy is saying, hey, I'm conscious of my actions, right? I'm doing okay. One time for me to say, like, yes, I want this because I just want to relax and actually spend more time with my family, not cook this giant meal. Instead, I'm just going to order takeout and we're saying, okay, we're having this instead. That's fine. Right? Like that is okay. So just wanted to add that with intention and mindfulness of saying you are in control, right? And because that's what I want to help people understand is that you are in control of your health, of your well-being, and helping people have those tools or resources to make the best decisions for them. Again, to raise that awareness and say, I have a toolkit that I can turn to at any time to know how to handle or tackle different parts of what is going on, and feeling confident about that so that they can, again, step into their day feeling confident, feeling great, feeling healthy, and feeling just honestly happy and content about their life and their well-being.
This is so good, guys. These are so good. And you know what, Jocelyn, before we head out, I want to make sure to let the audience know where they can reach out to you. And I know you have like a little examination or assessment
Yes.
out there, but yeah, let them know where they can reach out and find you, whether it's on a website or Instagram.
Yes. So yes, you can find me on Instagram at jocelyn.wellness. And there I post on tips and tricks. A lot of it, honestly, it's mindset stuff, as we've been talking about, and offering a new perspective to our health choices and practices to really get your wheels turning.
Mm.
And then you can also find me. I have a website, jocelynwellnessaltogether.com. And on there, I have a free #1 wellness habit quiz. So I know, Joe, you took it. I saw that. I was like, oh, Joe just took this quiz. And it's really just a way of helping kind of connect the dots of saying, what are some of the symptoms that you're dealing with? And then what is a mindful health practice that could make the most difference for you, to whether it's because you're dealing with stress or anxiety or just lacking motivation. And I do want to add, Joe, to all the listeners here, as an added bonus, I would love to offer anyone listening here a free 30-minute, what I like to call clarity call. And this is really to understand what is the challenge or the obstacle that is keeping you stuck from making progress in your health goals. Because I find that a lot of times, it's like we know how to execute and we are executing, but we're not getting the results we want, or we go on these cycles. And so it's saying what's keeping us stuck and helping them have that breakthrough and say, what is the missing piece, and have that clarity. So I just want to offer that to all the listeners here. And you can book that call via my Instagram, again, jocelyn.wellness, or also via my website, jocelynwellness.com.
Wow. Hey guys, this is super awesome. I actually took that little assessment and I got some good recommendations from her. And one of the things that she reminded me of is my artwork, and doing some artwork and stuff like that. And yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you for reminding me of that, because it does help me to relax, get more mindful, get some clarity. So look, hey, she's already helping me out, and I'm pretty sure she can help you guys out. And so get on her free clarity call, talk to her, and see what tools and tips that she can provide you. So Jocelyn, before we head out, um, do you have any last minute tips, any like something that, like a tip that you want to give to them that's on your heart right now for our audience?
Ooh, yes. I don't know why, but this is very top of mind right now. Is I want to have one final thing about the difference. There's a difference between someone who's a leader and someone who leads. And a leader has influence because of, I'll say, title, right? A given title, versus someone who leads has influence because of how they are aligned with, their thoughts are aligned with their actions, and that's their source of influence, because people see that. And so I just wanted to offer that as a final thing, because I know you said earlier, like, we're all leaders, right? And we are. And I think I just want to offer that because with this B.O.S.S, concept and this new frame, I'd say it's like, you can lead, and I'd say a boss leads in whatever setting they're in, because of the alignment that they have between what they say and their actions, And that is what inspires others to move and transform as well. So just wanted to offer that as a final final thing.
That's good. And that goes, that aligns with what you said earlier, what you mentioned to me about transformative leaders require unwavering commitment to personal development and self-care. And if they're aligned in those areas, it doesn't matter what their title is, they'll be an influence to all the people around them. That's so amazing. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
So Jocelyn, thank you so much. Remember, JocelynWellness.com or Jocelyn.wellness on Instagram, and check her out. Do her 30-minute clarity call with her. Get some insights. Get in touch with her. She's an amazing individual. She's excited about wellness, and she exudes it. She exudes wellness, and I'm pretty sure she will be a blessing to you. Hey guys, thank you. And hey, share your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this podcast, and like her Instagram as well. Visit her on Instagram, and we'll talk to you guys later. God bless you guys.
Thank you, Joe.
So hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast and share this podcast, because you need to get leadership tips out there and have a positive expectation of God's goodness in your life each and every day. Hey, if you want to find out more about what I do, go to joedetry.com. Go to joedetry.com and see what we're up to. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.